came up and asked me, like, who are you voting for? I'm pretty.
Who the caseworker asked?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty open about, my opinion. So I was like,
Right.
Trump, like, definitely. And then she gets all pissed, and the next thing you know, like, some of her employees walk in, and then it's like me versus 3 of them, and then it's me versus 5 of them, then it's me versus 10 of them. I am just like sitting in the corner of this room, and they're just like all standing in front of me. I'm just like in this chair. I think we can all agree Elon Musk is a freaking genius.
Welcome back to the Investor Unite podcast, where we talk all things real estate, business, and entrepreneurship.
If you are looking to ignite real estate investing, then join us on Investors Unite. And on today's podcast, we have somewhat of a controversial topic.
A little juicy.
It is. It's juicy, but, it's going to affect all the investors, buyers, sellers, anyone who wants to own a home or, possibly wants to get rid of their house for the next 4 years. So we're going to try to be as unbiased as possible in this podcast.
Yep.
For the record, I will state for myself personally that I am very satisfied with the way that our election had just taken place. So the results
Trump won.
Trump did win.
Yeah.
So I'm pleased about that at least. I know there's going to be a lot of you who are not, but I'm going to talk about the good parts of Trump's plan in terms of housing, the bad parts, and then same for Kamala. So
just go back and forth and just see what we're working with, and then also how it's going to affect our business moving forward and how we can kind of prepare for that.
Yeah, I feel like it's actually going to affect our business kind of more specifically just because of the tenants that we have placed.
Yeah.
Or a lot of these immigrants that have come in, right?
Do you want to start? We can start with this and then go into their plans.
Sure, we can do that.
Okay, so if you guys haven't watched like our previous episodes, like with our plan of like building our rental portfolio, we kind of geared towards Section 8 rentals, but also refugees. So we help a lot of immigrants, get housing.
Right.
Since it's pretty hard for them, with them coming over here.
Yeah, I was saying, like, when we first started, we didn't really have this plan of, housing refugees, immigrants, illegal immigrants, like anything of that nature.
Yeah.
We did have we didn't even plan on doing Section 8 in the beginning. We kind of just wanted to do strictly market, and then, we tried out Section 8. Went fairly well, but then we were offered another opportunity to house these refugees, which, once again, is still a government-funded program.
It happened so randomly, too. Or it was a friend of yours, I think. That connected with you or something.
He connected with you, but then
or maybe
you were like, "Wait, you know Skyler?" And then he was like, "Yeah, I do." And then I was sitting in the office. I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, hey,
and then
how's it going?
After we had the first tenant, we were like, "Let's keep it rolling."
Right, exactly. So, I mean, we talked about some of the pros to it before, but obviously government funded, so guaranteed check every month. They even pay a little bit better than Section 8, and they also don't have nearly as strict of an inspection as Section 8.
Right.
So. Also, these people don't really speak English whatsoever. So if you're one of those landlords that, you're not looking to get bitched out by a tenant per se, they have to go through pretty much the caseworker who, speaks English and their language. She's bilingual. And then she relays whatever information to me that's necessary. And a lot of the problems that actually arise, she's able to take care of before it even comes to us.
Right.
So
she's like the middleman.
She is.
Your assistant, basically.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, it's something that's been going really well for us so far. And I'm not sure exactly how this is going to affect our tenant placement in regards to like deportation or how that's all going to play out.
Yeah.
But it's definitely going to be interesting.
It's going to be interesting. It's like there's pros and cons, with the immigrants and stuff like that. Like it's great that it's going to make our country safer.
Right.
But then again, everyone, like I'm a Christian, so like love your neighbor as yourself. You love everyone, right? And the main thing is with like immigrants, they're saying there's like a lot of bad things coming in, but you can't just from one bad person doing one bad thing that's an immigrant doesn't mean that everyone that's an immigrant is bad.
So this is going to dive into the statistics a little bit, but as far as we know, as far as Homeland Security is aware, out of the millions of people that have came into the U.S. over the past couple of years, there's been a total of 15,000 convicted felons that have also came in.
And that's the bad part,
That is. It's the bad part, but I mean, that ratio from multiple million, which I have the numbers, and then versus that 15,000, it's like it's a very small group of people.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, I'm not going to actually say the country because I don't want to dive into that too much.
What country?
A lot of it's Venezuela. To be honest, a lot of their criminals that were locked in the jail cells and like mental institutions, Venezuela's like kind of kicking them out that country and saying, go to America, you can get in there.
Yeah.
And then they even went as far, and I'd have to fact check this, once again, this is things that I've heard over the past several months.
That reminds me though of, I don't know if I want to get into that. Our one tenant. We did have one issue with our one tenant.
Yeah, we do.
That's from
Venezuela.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why you say yeah?
I don't know. Pulling a Kamala right there.
Yes.
No, what was I saying? Shoot, what was I saying? There was
You were talking about Venezuela.
Right, Venezuela, they're coming in, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I even heard that the president or whoever is in charge of Venezuela has even threatened these people, like, if you come back here, we're going to give you the death penalty. Like,
Really?
either that or, like, life in prison or something. Like, they want their, felons, criminals, like, out of their country and just took them over here. And they're like, don't you dare come back.
But that's where we see where Trump's side of things of, like, doing that, putting that.
Exactly. And then trying to, do the deportation.
Right.
But at the end of the day, this is a real estate podcast.
Yeah,
so
we're not going to get,
we're not a political podcast.
Yeah,
like, we don't want to dive too far into politics.
This
and
is just our opinions. We don't know anything.
I hope I know something.
I'm just joking.
No, as far as politics go, I mean, our education is rather minimal, but we're able to go ahead and read different articles and do our own fact checks and due diligence on these topics. Right. So, still be able to form a solid opinion.
Yeah. So, I mean, going back to like our business, I feel like we're not sure what's going to happen to those tenants. We just hope and pray that they're going to be in a good spot, or they may stay, or, we just really don't know.
Right.
But moving forward, if that basically is going to end up stopping, we're probably just going to gear towards that Section 8 again.
Yeah, I believe so. Either that or market, whichever works better for us.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that I actually had a meeting with our caseworker last week, I want to say, either 1 or 2 weeks ago. Sorry,
Get it out.
I was like bloated. And, I had asked her about this exact situation where I was like...
Yeah, because, like, is it going to knock her out of business?
Right, exactly. And she said that they wouldn't go out of business, obviously, because all the legal immigrants that are coming in still typically go through her program. But her program was also doing the illegals. Yeah. So I asked her, I was like, well, as far as our tenants go, are they looking at being deported if Trump were to take office? And she was like, no, all yours are legal. I was like, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I was like, so they have like their visas or whatever documentation that they need to be considered a citizen. She was like, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Right. So then I go through, and if you guys have seen the episode of Jubilee where it's like one Republican versus 30 Democrats or one Democrat versus 30 Republicans, I felt like I was in that, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm in her office, and obviously this is an office full of immigrants. Like people who work for her are strictly all immigrant.
Yeah.
I was the only Republican, right? And of course she came up and asked me, like, who are you voting for? I'm pretty...
Who, the caseworker asked?
Yeah. I'm pretty open about, my opinion. So I was like, Trump, like, definitely. And then she gets all pissed, and the next thing you know, like, some of her employees walk in, and then it's like me versus 3 of them, and then it's me versus 5 of them, and then it's me versus 10 of them. I am just, like, sitting in the corner of this room, and they're just, like, all standing in front of me. I'm just, like, in this chair. I'm like voicing my opinion. I'm like, bro, I'm not a debater by any means. Yeah. Like, I am a very agreeable person. I don't like conflict if I can avoid it. But there was one of those instances, right? So then after I go through and we have that whole discussion, lasted like an hour long, right?
Yeah.
And I'm throwing everything out there that I can, and they had their, rebuttals.
Right.
But so I walk out of her office and I go to one of her other employees, very nice woman, and I worked with her several times, just like picking up checks, stuff like that.
Right.
And I was like, hey, like, I just brought this up with Katrina. Like, I didn't know that everyone here was actually legal. And she was like, I'm not legal.
Oh, shoot.
I was like, you're not legal? She was like, no. She was like, I came here illegally.
Dang.
I was like, shoot. So I was like, I don't know if I trust that all of our tenants are legal.
Right.
If she's
just saying
yeah,
that.
just saying like, no, I'm not supposed to be here, pretty much. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, we are going to just have to wait and see what happens.
I don't know.
Thankfully, I mean, all of our units, they're, up to date. They're
But what about her? Is she even?
Who, Katrina?
Why you got to say that?
Sorry. Who? Kat? Yes, she is.
Okay.
She is. She's been here for 8 years, and she has her visa, everything like that. So she's good to go. And, yeah, I mean, I was talking to her about it, and she's, like, extremely stressed out, just not because of, like, the election or any of that, just with the influx of immigrants that have been coming in, just like how much she's
just
doing.
A lot, yeah.
Right, exactly. And then she was like, but, this is about to all slow down extremely soon if Trump were to take office. I was like, okay, but, like, you're not going to lose your job? She was like, no, I mean, like I said.
Just lose commission.
No, she doesn't get commission.
Oh, she doesn't?
She's salary. I asked her about that too. She was like,
Yeah.
if I got commission, I'd be rich right now.
Oh, yeah.
I know. 'Cause in the city of Harrisburg alone, which obviously that's where we're from, they're getting like close to 1,000, if not over 1,000 people a month.
Wow.
Yeah. And
That's why she's like, buy more properties, buy
exactly.
more.
She's always like pressing us, like, you need to buy more properties. I need more housing for these people. She's throwing them wherever she can, like piling them up in a single unit, throwing them in hotels. Like, it's just
It's crazy.
it's a disaster, like, to be honest. But government's paying for all of it, which is
a
crazy.
blessing. Yeah.
I mean, kind of. A blessing for them.
Yeah.
But then again, that's our tax dollars at the end of the day. That's just going to them.
Well, the good thing about us is
It's coming back to us.
Right.
It's coming back to us.
And we don't have to worry about a tenant not paying.
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
just getting it directly from them.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's crazy. Like, they pay for their food, their housing. If they want to start transportation, if they want to start like a small business, I think they get a $50,000 check. Like, not even a loan, like a full on just check. Like, here, like, start a business in America.
Because I was with our contractor today, and because you text him about our one property about the heat or something.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah. I was like, well, reach out to Skyler to see if you can set up a time, and because I wanted to make sure that the tenant was there, because every time he goes, the tenant's not there.
I know, yeah.
He was like, oh, no, I know they're there. They don't work.
Yeah.
I was like, all right,
Quite
well,
literally.
go ahead.
They're just chilling. Like, they don't, well, a couple of them do work now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's going to definitely play effect in our business, and we're just going to have to continue to check in with her.
And adapt.
And see if Trump is going to start this mass deportation that he's been talking about. Which
I feel like that's going to be the first thing.
I definitely think it is too. It's going to be close the border first, then get everyone who's already crossed the border out of the country.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, just knowing how he was in his last term, like, he tends to get things done pretty damn quickly.
Fast,
like, taking over ISIS and all that stuff took him a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So he does. I mean, he puts his money where his mouth is, and he just gets it done.
He does. So
now,
let's dive into it.
Let's dive into it, right? So I have a brief overview on my notes here, right? So just some of the articles that I was reading. I went through and took some bullet points. As you guys can see, it's not like an actual article I'm reading here. But, I mean, they were all legitimate sources that I got this information from.
Yeah.
So I have, some bullet points as far as Trump's housing plan will go, like what he's looking to do to make housing more affordable. I have Kamala's as well, and then I also have the downsides of each of them.
Okay.
Right? So do you want to start with Kamala or Trump?
Let's start with Kamala's.
Kamala? Okay, so there wasn't too much information as far as like her housing goes, and she seemed to be very not restricted, I should say, but not
she wasn't really open about her policies too much.
I don't know if she really had that many policies.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So it's hard to pull this information, but what I did get out of it is that she was looking to build 3 million new homes over the next 4 years, which obviously it's always supply and demand. So there's a very high demand because we have an influx of people coming into America right now. So in order to, stabilize that a little bit
and
as far as pricing.
with all those people coming in, it just rates the price even
exactly.
more.
So
it makes it
you need to add supply to cool down the demand.
Yeah.
Right. Another one was provide a $25,000 assistance for first-time homebuyers. That was going to be a program that she wanted to do.
That's actually not bad. Just because I'll let you go
I have
ahead.
my opinions about it.
Yeah. Just because I'm still living with my parents,
Sure.
I'm like,
I understand.
yeah, just getting that first house hack.
Right, exactly. And I'm in the same boat too, where we are both looking for that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, okay, so I'm not going to go into why that's bad yet, but these are just things that she is looking to do.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
There's one thing that they're both agreed on actually in terms of housing and something they could do to fix it, and that was use federal land. So out of the entire United States, I believe it was 27% of the land is federal land, and they were looking to take some of that and actually use it for housing.
Gotcha.
So that's something they both wanted to do. And that was pretty much about it for Kamala. So as far as Trump goes, he wants to decrease the demand by deporting these immigrants, right? So you have more people.
It'll make a big difference.
They need more
Prices
houses.
will go down.
Right. So, yeah, that's something we'll dive into. He also wants to increase the amount of homes built. So he didn't give an exact number of how much he is looking to increase this. But, once again, same situation as Kamala, build new homes, increase the supply.
Yeah.
Another one is lower interest rates. So as you know from his previous term, that's kind of when we had that's when we had record low interest rates.
Yeah.
As least, I mean, I know we're still young, but even like
what were they?
The lowest it's ever been?
No, when he was.
Oh,
you remember?
I have it.
Have the price
I have it written down.
or the rate difference?
I'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have all that information. Once again, use federal land, as I had talked about. Provide tax incentives for builders. So,
I like that.
yeah, I love that too. Obviously, we've had developers on this podcast previously.
Yeah.
And, one of their main hurdles, it's mainly pricing, right?
Yeah, I mean, the cost to build is just outrageous.
The cost to build is outrageous. So if you're, providing them some kind of tax incentives or write-offs once their project is complete or they go to file taxes at the end of the year, then that's definitely going to be a huge incentive for them to actually build more.
Yeah, especially for market rate tenants, because I feel like that's the big issue right now. There's not a lot of market renters that are able to get housing. It's more so affordable housing, people getting housing, just because with these big developments, you have to get grants. You have to go the affordable housing route just to get those specific grants for it to even make sense for you to build and then make your small profit, whatever that, is.
Right, exactly. Another one is to decrease the amount of restrictions there is when it comes to building. So, how whenever a builder or even a flipper like ourselves wants to go and do like a big project, they have to pull permits.
Yeah.
And there's like all different kinds of hurdles they have to jump through as far as like environmental, and I don't know all of the different ones because we haven't done that yet.
Yeah, but there's a lot you have to go through.
There's a lot. So
with all the codes and stuff like that.
Right. So he wants to decrease some of the restrictions there, and also, to help lower the cost of the building itself by dropping these restrictions. It is going to be a huge decrease in how much it actually costs to build these homes, because permits are expensive.
Yeah.
Right? Anytime you want to pull a permit, and I did the math on this, I believe it came out to like a brand new house that was fully built, 14% of that, 14% of the cost to build that home was just in permits and paperwork alone.
That's crazy.
Right. So you can automatically decrease the price there.
Yeah.
It might not be by the whole 14, because obviously you still need to have some of these permits and restrictions in place.
Right.
But, a chunk of it. And when you're talking about, $500,000 to $1 million house, even 10% is a huge hit.
Right.
Right. Now, we can dive into.
You want to go into the cons?
Yeah, I can go into the cons.
I honestly, for Trump's side of things, I don't see any cons.
There's a couple.
You think so?
I was able to come up with these, not necessarily things that I've read, but like kind of just doing my own thought process. So as you know, a lot of the labor workers, building these homes, they are immigrants, cheap labor, right? So as soon as you deport those, no more cheap labor, right? You're going to be having Americans come in and do this,
So it's like you have cheap labor, so we'll put it down here, and then you have higher build fees, but it's just going to be kind of the opposite.
Right, exactly.
Where it's going to be higher build fees.
So it's like...
Or lower build fees.
No, it's going to be more.
Yeah. I'm confusing myself.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So, yes, decreased demand by deporting immigrants, right? So that is going to automatically open up a lot more housing for Americans.
Yeah.
Which will then, in turn, hopefully reduce the prices a little bit. As far as, dropping the restrictions and lowering the building cost, obviously lowering the price there. But to counter that, it's not going to be as cheap for an American to build that home, like all-American company, versus these immigrants that are coming in and doing it for, minimum wage, which for them is plenty. And they tend to really like work as like a unit and like a family, at least from what I've noticed, right? They'll take like a 2-bedroom apartment and still fit like a 6-person household in that 2-bedroom apartment just to make, ends meet. So props to them, for being willing to do that.
Right.
As far as another downside, this will primarily only impact the area of where the immigrants were located at. So as you know, through Kamala and Biden's plan, a lot of the immigrants that had come in, they automatically pushed it to the swing states in hopes of having them vote and getting the Democratic Party to be more likely to win over the swing states.
Right.
So if you weren't in one of the swing states, I don't know exactly how much this is going to affect you as far as the deportation goes and, seeing the difference
and PA was
in housing.
a swing state.
PA is like the number one state when it comes to the election.
They blew up my phone like crazy.
Oh, same here. And I could be completely wrong about this, but I believe that Pennsylvania has the most electoral votes per swing state.
I don't know.
Something I'll double check, but I think that's why it usually comes down to the wire of just waiting to see where Pennsylvania leans towards.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, another downside, and this would account for both of them. It has to do with the federal land, and a lot of the federal land isn't where people want to live, primarily because that's not where the jobs are located. So, yes, it's a great idea in theory. Like, oh, we have this land that's owned by the government that's not being used.
Yeah.
Obviously, that is a blank canvas for developers to come in, build more units. But at the same time, if that area is not where somebody wants to live, like it's a very desolate area, there's not much opportunity there,
Yeah.
then obviously, it might work to some degree, but there's probably gonna be a substantial amount where it's like no one even wants to go buy those houses or rent those houses, right?
Right. And honestly, like those types of areas, it just makes me think of those Dollar General areas.
Yeah, exactly. Which Dollar General does fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a very smart like marketing strategy where they're going to these very rural areas where there's not much going on, but obviously everyone needs some kind of grocery store, convenience store.
So they
So
make it work.
throw one there and they're getting a majority of that business.
Yeah.
So no, props to Dollar General.
Maybe we should hop in that business.
Are they franchised? Can we do that?
I don't know.
All right. So downsides of Kamala's plan. So this is where I was going to bring up.
Wait, what did I say? It was, the $25,000 down payment or assistance of what
the down
she
payment
gives.
assistance?
So
right.
this is good, but then what it also made me think of, that's basically like the stimulus checks, when they're just handing out money.
It's a lot more than that. But
I know, but like they're just handing out money so the country just goes into more debt, basically.
Exactly.
So it's, yeah.
So it would once again increase the debt, which increase inflation, which, counteracts with interest rates going up. Right.
Yeah.
So this is an issue that we had in the past. By doing this, I mean, the thought that I had is that it's also going to increase the average home price even more.
Right.
Because a lot of these people that are barely making ends meet, if you're giving them $25,000, which if you're using an FHA loan should be enough to qualify for like a $300,000 house, right?
And you should be able to get money back at closing, honestly.
It really depends.
Yeah.
What the closing costs and all that will be. But the way I'm looking at it is if these people, they're barely making enough to get by, they're getting the $25,000 to actually buy a home now. Now they have enough to get by, but the home that you're also adding a mortgage onto that, right?
Right. So they're not going to be able to sustain that mortgage.
Right, exactly.
So,
but they'll still be able to qualify for the home now just due to that $25,000 program that they're trying to push.
So it may sound good up front, but in the long term, you're going to see a lot of
it could screw
foreclosures
them,
happening,
right?
Possibly.
A lot of foreclosures. It could screw them, and then at the end of the day, it's going to once again create the demand for housing even more, which is going to once again bump up those the average home price.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, another thing I added on is that inflation will continue and mortgage rates, will continue to ascend or not decline anymore. Kind of all goes hand in hand. And I really, I had an interest. I was like, well, does inflation and mortgage rates, do they have some form of correlation there? In my head, they always did. But then I've heard other people say, like, this does not account for that.
Right.
So I wanted to pull this exact article. I looked it up, right? I was like, is there a correlation between inflation and mortgage interest rates? And the answer was higher bank rates can influence mortgage rates, making them more expensive for borrowers. Higher inflation can also lead to increased borrowing costs for banks and financial institutions. This can result in lenders passing on these increased costs to borrowers, usually in the form of higher mortgage interest rates. So there is some kind of correlation there.
Yeah.
Right. So, those are really the pros and the cons of each party. So take with that information what you will, and obviously apply your own opinion to whatever you think option would be better. I mean,
we already have
the election, but this is kind of what we were looking at. So,
but comment down below like who you guys were with. I'm just curious.
Who'd you vote for?
Yeah,
we want to know. If you're open to talking about it, some people aren't, but it's okay. So, what time are we at? We're at 23 minutes in. Okay. So how will Trump decrease mortgage rates? Because the president actually has no say on mortgage rates whatsoever.
Yeah, it's the Senate.
It's the
right.
No, it's the Jerome Powell. Who is he?
No, he does mortgage rates. Yeah, JP.
Yeah. What is his title though?
That's a good question.
Do you know, Nate?
The Fed.
Yeah,
The Fed.
Okay. Yeah, the Fed.
We're trying our best, guys.
So that begs you the question.
I said the Senate.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think that's right.
That's fun. But they make the main decisions.
The final decision.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think with the Fed though. I think they kind of have their own. They're an individual.
The Fed does the interest rates.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with that. I'm saying.
I think the mortgage rates are actually completely separate from that. The
I don't
mortgage
know.
rates have something to do with something else, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
You know, as we stated, we don't know everything about this, but
Yeah.
we're trying our best to inform you on, what we know and how it could affect the
I
market.
think it's the bond market or something. I don't know.
Gotcha.
I could be wrong.
That sounds like you might be onto something. So that made me think, how will Trump decrease the mortgage rates if he doesn't technically have the power to do so?
Right.
What I came up with, once again, this is my own thought.
Yeah. I was going to say something, but go ahead.
Are you sure? Okay. Adding tariffs and decreasing income tax, right? So decrease the government spending and provide more resources for America for other countries to purchase. And then, so obviously inflation is due to overspending, government overspending, right? And then the way to make up for that is by increasing the price of all the goods that we require. Now, the way to decrease inflation is obviously to get the government spending on a budget and just decrease that, right? So the best person, which this is a huge reason of why I was actually a supporter of Trump, is because the person that he's going to put in charge of doing this would be most likely Elon Musk. It's not official yet, but I think whether you're a left or right or individual part or independent party, I think we can all agree Elon Musk is a freaking genius, and
He's super smart. It's crazy.
yeah, no, he's quite literally a genius, and the amount of stuff he does and creates, and it's absurd.
It's kind of scary, low key. Like, it's crazy, but it's scary.
It's like, how does one man just
like a robot?
Yeah, like I don't know, man. He's something else, but pretty much what Elon had talked about. I watched the whole podcast between him and Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
right?
I didn't watch that one yet.
I think that was almost 3 hours, like 2:48 or something like
Yeah.
that. But pretty much what Elon Musk had said is like, if he was given this position on the board, that he would pretty much treat it the same way as he treated Twitter, or now X.
Right.
So obviously when he bought Twitter for $40 billion, which was completely overvalued.
Yeah.
Twitter at that time wasn't even worth nearly that. But, he wanted to protect the freedom of speech, First Amendment rights, want to make sure that that's not being corrupt and taken over by the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Which is something that, they have stated multiple times that they would like to. I don't know if they've exactly stated it, but it's quite obvious that they're trying to at least, put a restriction on what can be said. And
I mean, you look at like big
and like
influencers
cancel
and
culture,
stuff.
like that shit that's taking place. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous, and no one can just speak their mind anymore without facing some kind of penalty.
People getting mad.
Yeah, something, right? So I believe, if he were to go through and do the same thing that he did at Twitter, what he did at Twitter was he bought that company, automatically walked in, talked to, I believe, just about every employee. Was like, what do you do, right?
Yeah.
And if you couldn't answer right then on the spot, he let you go.
Oh, shit.
So
I didn't know that.
he let go like 80% of the staff at Twitter, of the employees, right? And now he pretty much bootstrapped that entire company back to where it is now as X. So pretty much be the same thing where, like, I don't know how much control he would have in terms of like letting people go. I think that would really come down to him discussing that with Trump, and this is way out my knowledge, but I'm trying my best here. Like, it's just like purely my opinion of like what could happen. Right. So.
But also, I wanted to talk about,
go ahead.
Before you go to you were going to the next topic or something?
I was going to touch back on how the inflation correlates with mortgage rates and how Trump would then decrease the mortgage rates, but I kind of already touched on it.
So I was going to say, in the video we watched on our team call, he talked about how JP, Jerome Powell, his term basically ends in 2026, I think he said. So with him having that term ending,
Trump thing, and then
putting in someone new could completely
who aligns
change
with
the
his
game.
values, and I believe would be a benefit to the country.
Who votes for this Trump? He has to pick?
I think Trump, I don't know. Trump might pick.
'Cause I don't remember voting for Jerome Powell.
No, I definitely didn't do that either. I'm pretty sure Trump's the one that placed him in there initially, though, during his first term.
Maybe. I don't know.
I think
That's a
so.
good question.
Yeah, I don't know. So the way that basically mortgage rates would decrease is by decreasing inflation, which is reduce government spending,
Yeah.
right? So a bunch of stuff just put shortly and simply. That's what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
And just to read off some facts about interest rates. So,
Oh, you forgot you were talking about tariffs.
oh, right. Tariffs and eliminating income tax.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can explain what a tariff is.
Basically, like,
I don't know how that's going to correlate exactly to the housing, though.
it may not. So maybe we can skip over that.
I mean,
if it
goods and
doesn't.
materials, like obviously in order to build, you need lumber, you need concrete, all that stuff. And if it's being made here in the U.S.,
It's just going to support businesses here.
exactly, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to open up more job opportunities for Americans.
Yeah. But that's not more so real estate related. So
Right. I don't
we
know
can
how
keep
to,
going.
yeah, I don't know how exactly tie that in.
Yeah.
Just some fun facts, though, right?
Yeah.
So the average home price during Trump's term, this is specifically the 2019 to 2020 year, the average home price in the U.S. was $258,000. At the end of Biden's term, the average home price is now $404,500.
No way.
So not
Oh,
quite
shit.
doubled, but like substantially increased. Was that $146,000, something
Yeah.
like that? Yeah.
What were the rates? I know we're at like
Right.
what,
So
6 to 7, depending on single family or if you're getting commercial.
right. So we're gonna go based off of just a single family residence.
Okay.
You get into commercial once you're doing more like obviously real estate related stuff, but for the average family,
Yeah.
that's kind of what I wanted to discuss here. The average interest rate in 2020 was 3.11%, so extremely low.
Yeah.
I wish we still had that, right? That was the very end of Trump's term. During Biden's term, the interest rate went up to 8%. Or wait, no, that's yeah, it went up to 8%. And it's dropped back just a little bit since that time, and it actually sits around 6.8% right now, which is still over double Trump's term.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which, when it comes to actually, buying a home and paying your mortgage, it's astonishing. Just play around with a mortgage calculator if you're out there. Plug in whatever home price and down payment you want and just mess around with the interest rate and see how much that changes your monthly payment, because it's actually absurd.
Let's talk about our 5-unit. We have a mortgage of, what is it? It's not $285,000. No. Like a mortgage payment.
Our
It's
monthly payment?
$3,000.
$3,300.
Yeah. How much is that? Is
So
principal?
yeah, principal is only about $240.
Isn't that crazy?
So over $3,000 of that is just interest alone. And
well, we still, with that one, we do have insurance and taxes included,
Okay.
but
So
still, like the
interest
interest
is probably
from
like
that
high 2000s then.
is insane.
Right, when your principal is only $240 versus interest of like, yeah, whatever it is, like 2,800 per, roughly.
Yeah.
Right, so interest rate changes a lot, and we discussed this before, but our interest rate on that building is 9.125%, which is extremely high, and it's because it's commercial, and we went through a bad lender, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Right, so obviously, well, Trump is back in office now, so I'm hoping that he is capable of bringing back down these interest rates a little bit, so we can actually do that refinance and have a lower monthly payment, which good for investors, right?
Yeah.
Right. Some other. Right, so that was interest rates, average home price. In terms of inflation, so 2020 inflation was at 1.23%, which tends to be the average, over the past 100 years or so,
Yeah.
the past century. It's like it's between that 1 to 2. It fluctuates a little bit. Our inflation rates in 2022, right, so middle of Biden's term, went up to 9.59%.
Jeez.
Absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
It has since then went down to 4.06 in 2023, and as of now, it's at a 3.1 in 2024, which is still almost 3 times higher than Trump's average.
Yeah.
Which, it's crazy. So that's just like your goods and services.
Right.
Right. So gas, food, that kind of
Eggs, milk.
thing. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I wanted to do a little study here of myself, just to.
Yeah.
I haven't done it yet. I want to do it on camera just so you guys can see where I'm coming up with this. But the number of illegal immigrants, these are Trump's words, so not fact checked, but I do have another number as well. As far as Trump's words go, 21 million illegal immigrants had come into the U.S. during Biden's administration.
Wow.
Right. So as of 2022, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security had accounted for 11 million. So that was still 2 years ago. So
Right.
in that time, it's not unlikely that another 10 million.
That sounds reasonable.
Right. Just the pattern would continue.
Right.
Right. So 21 million. Right. And as of 2023, which is the latest statistic I could find for this, there's 145 million homes in the U.S. Right.
145 million.
145 million homes in the U.S.
Yeah.
So I want to do, a quick little math thing and see how many homes would potentially open up if all 21 million of these illegal immigrants got deported, right? So let's just say that I would say typically an average household for Americans would have 4 people, right?
Yeah.
Mom, dad, son, daughter.
Right.
For immigrants, let's increase that number a little bit by 6.
Yeah.
Right. So out of 21 million, it's a big number, divided by 6 people per household, that would potentially add $3.5 million of housing supply back to the market.
Yeah.
Right. Now, obviously, there's a lot of variables that play into this, and I'm sure I don't know if the number is that high. Right. It could be more.
Right.
Could be less.
Right.
Honestly, I have no idea. It's just something I wanted to do. Right. But if you have 3.5 million homes open up out of the 145 million homes, like that's
substantial.
That's a decent amount,
Yeah.
right? Especially, for the swing states. As far as Pennsylvania goes, like I know that when I would say like 2023 time frame, anytime you put a house on the market, and like I just know this from some neighbors that I've had that bought and sold properties. It seems like anytime they sold a property and it was going over that asking price where you were getting like all cash offers for $50,000 to $100,000 more than even the asking price, it tended to be some form of immigrant family that was moving in there, right?
That is true. Yeah.
It is true. I don't know if they were legal or illegal, right? I don't know. I don't know how that works when it comes to actually like buying a property too. Like I feel like you have to be a U.S. citizen in order to get a pre-approval for a mortgage and then actually go through with the purchase of a house.
Yeah, I can't speak like directly, but like you can see like just within Susquehanna.
Oh my!
I don't even know if I can say.
That's fine. Susquehanna is just loaded right now.
You can just see the different demographics.
And in the beginning, it was all refugees, right? So it was like people from Nepal most of the time. We had an influx of Nepal people that were coming into Susquehanna Township, which is where we both went to high school. Look it up.
Which is like. We love Susquehanna Township.
I love the diversity of it. We went to
Susquehanna Township High School, super diverse and amazing.
We had a blast. I absolutely loved it. But now it's not necessarily refugees that are coming in, and I don't know the huge difference between refugees and illegal immigrants. I think refugees are illegal. I'm like 99% sure. I'm like 99% sure. We're gonna have to really fact check this episode, just
guys.
to see.
Fact check those.
Right, drop a comment down below if you got some better answers here. But yeah, nowadays though, it definitely tends to be more of people from Haiti, Afghanistan, Venezuela, a lot of Ukrainians that are coming in because of their war over in Russia, or in Ukraine, but Russia's coming in, blah blah blah.
Right.
Palestine, so. Yeah.
But I think we covered just about all in regards to real estate related topics.
Kind of. So what would you do, right? If you were you are a real estate investor, but how would you start to maybe change up your buying strategy, your selling strategy? Do you think this is going to lead more towards a buyer's market versus a seller's market? Like what are your thoughts with the numbers?
I think it's going to be there's going to be a lot more buyers coming out. For sure. With the rate change. Right now, I think people are still scared. So like between this time frame till spring, I feel like it's just gonna be a little slow. But like once springtime happens, I feel like it's just gonna skyrocket. Even maybe a little before spring. But I feel like investors, the smart investors are gonna be like, nah, we're still buying no matter what. It is what it is.
Right. So I think with the combination of, a lot of these houses are gonna be left vacant. Places that are being rented out or have already been bought in, right? They're going to be left vacant along with the interest rates dropping. It's going to increase the demand, and hopefully once a lot of these permits and restrictions get dropped or at least I won't say delayed because that wouldn't make sense. But there's going to be a lot more opportunity to actually go out and buy these properties.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely going to turn into a buyer's market.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we are going to have, a great amount of supply coming back, I think kind of in a rush, it might just freak the market out just a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know exactly how that's going to all take place. It really just depends on how fast Trump is capable of deporting these people and, how he plans to do so, as well as actually doing the new construction and giving those tax incentives to the developers.
And I feel like in regards to the new construction, it's gonna the developers that are already doing the business are gonna just skyrocket even more. And the ones that haven't started out yet are still like, you know how when you get into real estate, it takes forever to do that first deal because you're just so scared.
Yeah.
But like if you just go for it, then that's when it takes off. But I feel like there's going to be a lot of developers that want to, that just don't take that leap of faith. But it's going to be a lot of opportunities for the ones that actually go out.
I think so too. I was also going to say, I think it's going to be an excellent buying time for investors as well, because you're almost, just kind of where my thought goes is that you're going to be getting these properties almost at a discount, because it's going to be a kind of a jump from where we are now, which is overloaded with people, minimal housing available, right? There's low supply, extremely high demand. Prices are still through the roof. Interest rates are also through the roof, extremely hard to qualify. And even if you do, it's hard to find a place, right? So as soon as that does a full 180, right? And you have all these housing supplies, and demand is still going to be up there just because of the dropping of interest rates, but we're going to have far less people who are actually capable of buying these homes. I think that investors are going to be able to take advantage of that time frame and get a lot of houses on a discounted price.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking a lot of these houses will probably sit on the market longer than, the sellers are hoping for, right? Which is going to be a complete turnaround of where we have been the past 4 years. So you're going to be able to negotiate with the realtors, negotiate with the sellers, get that price at a steeper discount, and eventually everything will start to balance back out. And just due to appreciation over the long run, obviously we'll come back to the prices where we are now.
Yeah.
And this is just all pure speculation.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is going to happen at all, and maybe.
Yeah, guys, don't take our advice or whatever.
This is I'm taking the facts that have been given so far and just kind of coming up with my own conclusion.
This is just our
just on the spot. I haven't even talked about this at all yet. So.
And I also think that the burst strategy is going to be huge again. Like a lot of people kind of quieted down when the rates started going up, but we're able to make things happen because we source our own deals, so we can get those lower price points for us to make the higher interest rates work.
Right. We'll still have that spread that we need. Right. And now, kind of what you're saying though, like as long as the prices of the house doesn't decline substantially to the point you can't refinance out of it, I think that the burst strategy will still be a very effective strategy, come in strong.
As long as you know how to run your numbers properly.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited to see what happens the next 4 years. There's going to be a lot of changes, right?
Yeah.
And we've only been investing while Biden and Harris have been in office. Like we bought our first rental property in
last year.
23.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited to see, because I know if I could have gotten to real estate in 2017, 18, 19, I would have absolutely been thrilled.
But then again, when they had those lower rates and there was a lot of people doing the BRRRR and then them fixing it up and then having to go refinance, they weren't accounting for these higher rates. So it kind of screwed a lot of people.
They spiked out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like it was within a 6-month time frame, the average interest rate went from like a 3.5 to a 7, which as far as your monthly payment goes, that's almost doubled.
That's why thank God that when we actually started buying,
the interest rates were already
high. So now we know how to manage at a high rate. So just imagine at a low rate, it's going to be insane.
We're going to be flying through these deals. I'm so excited for that.
So, yep. But I feel like we touched on everything. Do you have anything else you wanted to
add? Don't hate me if you're not a Trump supporter, but...
Yeah, we just spread love here, yo.
Yeah, obviously, I support your opinions. Please support mine if you want. I don't know. But overall, at
the end of the day, Trump won. You got Trump by Trump, bro. You just gotta adapt with your lifestyle, and
the government.
Is what it is.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of changes coming. So obviously, cash is always king. If you are able to,
Jesus is king.
Amen. Yeah. So cash is king, though. Always, if you're able to liquidate some funds now, just be prepared in case it is a huge buying frenzy. And you should be able to get some discounted properties as well.
That's
and
right.
if you're looking to sell your home, I'd say probably
Just let us know.
yeah. Just let us know. Actually,
Yeah.
Just let us know. Don't throw it on the market. Don't talk to a realtor. Just
Right. All throughout the United States we'll buy.
hit up Stephanie Buys Houses, Investors Unite.
Yeah.
Anything.
But with that being said, guys, make sure you subscribe. Comment down below if you guys have any ideas, thoughts, comments, statements.
Yeah, I feel like we're probably leaving a lot out, but I don't want to start talking out of line and like saying like stuff that am not knowledgeable about whatsoever.
Yeah, I think we did pretty good.
But I appreciate you guys sticking around. The last few videos that we've released have all been doing exceptionally well. So thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
You know, they're getting a good interaction. We're getting a good amount of likes, comments on that. Some positive, some negative, but we love all of it. So continue sending it, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah.
Peace.
Peace.